stand for the pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to number 3, we take a look at the agenda. We need to amend it or not, otherwise we need a motion to approve it.
A motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Moving on, number 4, approve meeting minutes of Tuesday, April 2nd and Thursday, April 4th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of Tuesday, April 2nd and Thursday, April 4th.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to number 5, public input. I do have public input myself. This is my last night, of course, as mayor. I appreciate the community that has given me the support to be able to do this job, to serve the community. I want to thank Dave, Chris, you've done an excellent job. The aldermen that came to the table to help me out. Without your help, we couldn't be doing what we're doing. On the other note, I do feel it's really pathetic that we have city employees talking crap about myself. I don't need to say any employees' names. It has got back to me firsthand. I don't care what people think throughout the community. The feedback that I have gotten from a lot of the public has been positive. The situation is I'm the boss of the city. The past employees never had to answer to anyone. I've been a farm manager over the years. I've been in business for many years. There's nothing wrong with having anybody answer to a boss. That's my opinion. If anybody wants to take this seat throughout the community, I'll take my hat off to them. I've been a lightning rod. I've been struck. I've been drugged through a lot of crap in the past year. Nobody believes me. I think it's been throughout the community, what we've been through together. I want to see this community succeed. All the things we've done together, I don't want it to fall apart. I don't want to see this city state ran. I want to make sure that you as council remember priorities. The needs are more important than the wants. I continue to get phone calls on the sewer side of west side of town. Those people are important. We have to make that happen. That's just my opinion. I don't know where this is going to go from this point, but there's a lot of duties as an alderman to fulfill, a mayor to fulfill, the finance officers. And I'll tell you something, I put in 15 to 20 hours a week on the outside of the other 4 jobs I have. And it showed. I did ask 4 months ago to get paid more than a couple nickels. Wasn't in the budget. It's fine. But for a new mayor, I want this town to succeed. I guess I just want to, like I said, give you thanks to all the support, the handful of people that have rammed into the ground, the city employees that have decided to run their mouth about me. Hope they feel good. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I didn't have no public input. I'm sorry it's hard to get up and out of this chair, but I think you've done a fine job. And I think it's going to be a shame to see you leave. Because you've done a lot. I know that. Just from coming to town.
Right.
And that's a shame that somebody can make you feel that bad.
Right?
I'm sorry for that.
Thank you, Teresa. Any other public input? Howie?
I came to say goodbye to the mayor. He's been a breath of fresh air for the community. Somebody that actually cared about the community instead of themselves. Didn't come in here with a personal agenda. Didn't have any vendettas to carry out, anything silly like that. Just came in, shows up in a suit and tie every time he's here. First time in the almost 7 years I've lived here, anybody would dress up for the job. So, I think he set a standard that it's gonna be hard to replace. Be careful who you let sit in that chair. That's all I'm gonna say. Sure as that won't be me. That's not a job I want. But, the other thing I wanna bring up is the same stuff we've hashed over for the last 6 years, and that's my house. If you've driven by, which if you haven't, then you're about the only person in town that hasn't. But the front of the house is how the annex, I call it the annex, it's the build-on part of the house. The guy that owned the house before me took all the siding off. It's gonna look just like the front of the house. Making arrangements to have the rest of the house painted. Haven't decided if it's gonna be a screaming yellow or orange, but anyway, I doubt it'll be that. Sounds good though. Rainbow colors, that'd be cool. But it's just, it's a long process. When I walked away from trucking in 2021, December of 2021, it wasn't a well thought out plan, and it left me, as they used to say, on Shanks ponies, and it's been kind of a tough road to hoe since then. Now I drive to Vermillion every day and work for Vermillion Public Transit. Not get rich doing it, but it's extra income coming in. So it's just, things are gonna happen before the end of this summer. It's getting finally, if it'll quit raining, the weather's decent enough where some can be done outside. But I just don't want you to think that I have set what I hope to finally get done to that house. I mean, I know it's been an eyesore. When I bought it, it was an eyesore. It's not the derelict that it's been made out to be. That's as sound a house as any that are standing in this city. Back in 1902, they had craftsmen, and it's pretty well built. There is nothing rotting on it, nothing falling in on it. It's got a new roof. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened, but people overlook that. They look at the part that needs painted and siding on it. But the siding was just gonna, like I said, it's like what's on the front of the house. I think that looks pretty good. It's coming. I can't make it happen overnight. I wish I had that kind of income, but I don't. But anyways, I'm not gonna stand here and just continue to blur about stuff. But I just want you to remember what you agreed to do, and that's kind of back away. Definitely not gonna mess with me about the inside of my house, which has got nothing to do with the outside. Never has. What happened there should never have happened. There's been attempts ever since that warrant expired, which was 4 years ago. So I just want to put that all on the back burner because that's where it needs to be, and just move forward. So anyways, I wish the mayor the best of luck, and maybe he'll sleep a little better tonight, I don't know. But it's just a shame some of the things that happened. But having grown up in a town smaller than this one, 510 people in western South Dakota, I know what it's like coming into small towns. If you don't work together, if the community doesn't work together, it's a really tough road to hoe. So anyways, like I said, just be careful who you let sit in that chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Alex. Any other public input? No motion, I should say. Any other discussion?
Just go over.
You still have.
If there's no other public input, we will be moving on to the water tower inspection report and the required repairs. It is in your handouts. You can take a look at that, the conditions that we're facing. You do need to address them sooner than later. And of course, with what the bid came back at on the repairs, it's more than, you know, the $100,000, so we will have to open that up for bids. So.
Do we have any sort of timeline on it? Is this fairly urgent?
I would
Yeah.
pursue it as soon as
Very
I was gonna say, it seems very urgent.
There were several items. If you flip to the third piece of paper, the front, the bottom right picture is the Bavarant valve. Per the inspection report, it's entire new replacement. If that gives way, we lose the ability to contain water in the water tower. Also, there, on the back of that page, the interior ladder of the wet bowl, the ladder is disintegrating, to the lack of a better terms. It is completely unusable at this time. Those are the two biggest items. Per the report, the exterior and interior paint needs to be redone sooner rather than later.
Does that have to be, does the water have to be drained before they can replace that ladder?
To replace the ladder and that valve, the tank would have to be drained. Chad sent his regards. He was going to come tonight, but he had shoulder surgery, and yesterday during rehab, he tore his bicep off of his shoulder. So he was unable to attend. So he was going to explain more of this to you, but those two things were the highest priority that he let Lonnie and myself know that needed to be done. But overall, the entire tower needs addressed. If you have any questions, he is going to try and make it down to another meeting at some point.
So it should we open it up for bids and then see, since we have to?
Yeah, we'll have to bid the project out, so I'll work with Sam and Austin to get that drafted so we can get it published and I can send it out to the tank companies. And hopefully get those back quickly so we can still get at least a portion or some of the repairs done.
Yeah.
I had talked to Tanya, who's here tonight. They have some options for us for funding too that we're still working on gathering all the information for everybody. But once we have all that information to help cover the costs, Tanya can present that information to the board.
So how many separate bids will we be looking at? Something I assume for all the corrosion inside, and then paint or enamel would be separate, I assume?
She can explain, she knows these rehab companies better than I do, but
So I think the first thing I would try to find out about the coating on the outside, one of the things that we want to have checked for the city's benefit is to find out how long that coating's been on a tower. And I don't know if it's, is it approaching 20 years old, is there still life in it? And just make sure that you're not covering up a problem when really the problem is that the coating's just, it needs to be replaced completely. Because what they've got in here is proposing to spot repair the bad areas and put a one coat over it. If you would recoat the entire tower, you'd sandblast down to bare steel. You put a two coat system on it, and then polyurethane top coat, which you get a 20-year warranty on the color and things like that. So it's just making sure that you're putting the money in the right place, depending on what stage that current coating is in. So
What's the ballpark estimate to sandblast the repaint?
I don't have
You
that.
don't have-
Unfortunately, I'm in our wastewater department,
That's all right.
and I know a little bit about wastewater, but I don't have numbers like that right on the top of my head all the time. But I could get that for the city and bring it back.
the last time it was on the capital improvement budget for an exterior paint was $100,000 at least. And
It
that
would
was
be
just-
more.
That was just what the city had budgeted. So it's gonna be well in excess of 100,000.
Yeah. And so I think getting that figured out and then figuring out, does the city want to fund it through cash on hand? Or do they want to roll this into a improvement project that would be SRF funded, possibly get grant money for it, and do it like next summer instead, so. But I think we'll, having just seen this and just started talking about this, I think, like Dave said, we can come to a future council meeting and present some options for the city so they can have more information to make a decision. And we could also coordinate with the local paint rep, the company that provides paint that's used on towers, a higher quality industrial type paint. And they could look at the tower and kind of gauge what life is left in that painting system, and whether a repair system like this makes sense, or if it makes sense to instead invest the money in a more longer term solution.
Can I ask us another silly question?
No silly questions.
How, the condition of the interior of the water tower, how close is it to contaminating water? I mean,
There's chlorine in the system, so I wouldn't be as worried about contamination from that standpoint. I'd be more concerned about the valve operation.
Sure.
And the interior tower, we've actually seen some towers now where they don't even put the interior tower or ladder back in. Because that thing, you get ice floating around the top of that ladder and the ice bangs into it, and it's just a constant problem where that tends to fail. And so we've seen a lot of communities now just take the ladder out altogether. They'll just set up a brace up there and go in that way. So that would be another option for the ladder, but the valve, that's a concern.
So we'll get to work on that and
Okay.
have more information for you later down the road.
Anything else in regards to that?
Do we need a motion to approve this again?
Because you're not planning on opening for bids tomorrow, we still need to put it back.
We still gotta put everything together and put a request for proposal
Yeah.
and all that stuff, so hopefully we'll have, I'm hoping we can get that to you guys for the next meeting so you can review it and approve it. I just don't know how long it's gonna take to get everything together.
Anything else in regards to it?
well, sitting in a peanut gallery, I would, from my standpoint as just a citizen, I would like to see grants. I mean, I realize that writing grants and requesting, that takes some time. And that's, I guess that's key to, the question is what kind of a time frame are we looking at? Possible failure of that valve versus trying to, if we can get federal money to, or state money is available, not having a clue, but that would be something I think would be, maybe it could cover 25, 40%, maybe even more. So,
And that's the information I'm trying to get put together is, because this valve is the biggest priority, you get that prepared immediately with cash on hand, and then use funding packages and everything else for the entire rest of the project, but we just haven't had the chance to get all of that information together yet, so.
thanks for throwing that in.
Yeah.
Anything else? If not, moving on to number 7, the wastewater treatment plant. Change order number 6. Tanya, you want to talk about it, please?
So we've got 2 items that are included with this change order. One is the additional EQ basin drain line cleaning. So when they went to use the EQ basin to store water, that would allow them to hold the wastewater temporarily and divert that flow through that portion of the plant so they could shut down another area and complete repairs. And then they went to drain the tank. It became aware that the tank could not drain because that line was plugged. And so in order to, they had to pump down the basin and then clean out that drain line, and just the cost and the effort for that was around $3,000, almost $4,000. The other thing that was decided then was when they put that clean out in, or sorry, when they did that work, they wanted to be able to access that line easier in the future, so there's a valve pit out on site, and the decision was made to put a T in it to be able to access that line. So there's a cap on the T that's permanent, but if they need to get at it, they can pull that off the teeth off the top, and they get access to that pipe, so they get cleaning equipment into there if they need to jet it in the future and clean it out. So those two things, it was not anticipated that that line wasn't working. I think part of it, when they were cleaning it out, they found a hammer in one of the valve pits, so somehow either that flowed through or, got left in, and then there was a rainstorm. But the cost of the two items combined is $6,647.28. And so that would increase the total project cost right now to $5,382,026.19. Any questions on that at all?
We don't know what else still could happen, right?
We don't. So there will be another change order coming, and this one was because when they went to tie onto the existing pipe, the ductile iron pipe was put in, it looks like it was wrapped, it was put in the 80s, I'm guessing, or I don't know how old it is, but it was so corroded, they haven't been able, like the T's just completely corroded, the bolts were gone, and so that was a decision we had to make in the field right away, that they had to repair it, and there's some other pipe too that's been corroded. Any new ductile that's going in with this job has poly wrap around it, so that will protect it from corroding in the future, and it's got fluorocarbon bolts on it too that will also protect against corrosion. So yeah, there'll probably be a couple more.
A lot of unknowns.
Yeah, but then that's with any kind of a rehab or you don't know what you're getting into when you dig stuff up or go into walls, and it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But so far they've been, for the size of the job, they've been pretty small. We tried to contain them, we're trying to find speed ducts wherever we can to save some money, so.
So the next B, C, and D that are on here, they're all pretty
They're all related.
related to this.
But they're all related to the project.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if you want me to go through all of them and then let you guys do motions, or if you want me to pause and let you do a motion for each one. I can go either way. Okay, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So, thank you. So for pay application number 11, so this is the monthly pay application for the contractor. This month's request is $150,057. Most of the work on this portion was, there was a lot of HVAC and electrical work is going in, and they've been working on the UV system as well to get that installed, and then some of the site piping. So that's all included on this pay request. Contractor's been doing a good job. They continue to, keep pushing. It looks like we're on schedule, and I would say really things are going well for the stuff they're encountering that's adding challenges. They've been very patient, very willing to work with the city and get things done, so that's gone well. And then the next item is the two invoices from Banner. One is for the construction administration and observation on the wastewater plant project. We've been doing site visits to check for compliance with the plans and specs to make sure things are being properly installed. We've had submittal reviews for the control system that we've been looking at, construction meetings, pay requests, and the change orders review. We've also got a couple hours on there for the finishing up that Alcester Collection Facility Plan amendments. We had to revise the funding request from the state. So there's the last couple hours of coordination for that, so that was what that last invoice is for. And do want to congratulate the city on the funding package that they received for that. The grant portion was very nice, so I think the city really came out well with that project. So we'll be coming back in front of the council with an agreement for the city to review to proceed with design of those sewer improvements on the west side of town.
We're kind of in a mess. Hot mess.
You just dig your way out, right? One step at a time.
That's just bad, everything's kind of hit the person at once.
So are we missing a motion to pay the PE group professional?
No, that's included in our invoice. So they're a subconsultant to Banner. They're our electrical engineer for the project. And so that invoice is included on the Banner invoice and listed on there.
Okay.
But that is a great question, very good question.
Oh, I see it now, so, okay.
So We just included on there to be clear and.
Oh, that's okay, I just missed it, thank you. I will make a motion to change order number 6. To approve change order number 6.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Moving on. Need a motion to pay application number 11 to the IPT for $150,057.07.
I'll make a motion to approve pay application number 11 to Industrial Process Technology for $150,057.70.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has passed. Moving on, 7C, approve paying Banner Associate invoice 42,175 for $15,506.56.
I'll make a motion to approve paying Banner Associates invoice 42175 for $15,506.56.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 7D, approve paying Banner Associates invoice 42,119 for $751.81.
I'll make, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion to approve paying Banner Associates invoice 42119 for $751.81.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you.
You too, thank you. Moving on to number 8, city umbrella insurance. Want to talk about it a little bit? We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, if I could.
Yep.
All right, so, everybody should have a folder with looks like a Tide Pod on the front. People before me decided on the logo, so I apologize in advance. But, so in that folder, there's 2 packets. On the right side is really kind of the packet, information that I'm gonna talk about. The, left side I'm gonna talk about, the right side is the numbers, and that's probably where you're more interested in. But I think, getting a little bit of background about the pool before you look at the numbers is important. So on the left side of your packet, you've got some brochures and then just a quick PowerPoint. I'm gonna try to be quick because I know you guys have a ton of work to do, and it's stopped raining for a minute, so we can get home before the rain starts again. So I'm Lynn Brennan, I'm the Executive Director of the South Dakota Public Insurance Alliance. I've been in this role for 7 years, not the Executive Director role. I've been in the pool in the administrative side for 7 years. Executive Director for 1, Deputy Director for 2, and before that I was the Member Services Director. Before I came to the administrative side, I actually worked the claims for the pool for almost 18 years. During that time, I helped write, and even coming over here, helped write our coverage documents. So very intimately involved and know all about the pool, all about the coverage, I know all about the claims. I know almost all of the adjusters. A few people have come on since I've left, but very good relationships with our claims staff. So if you want to just follow along, or if you just want to listen, that's totally cool. The pool was founded in 1987. It was formed in 1987 as a result of legislative action. The legislature recognized that the commercial market was pulling out of public entity business. Commercial market was really unwilling or unable to provide coverage that was either affordable or sufficient. So all of the risk-sharing pools were born in South Dakota anyway during that time. We have the health pool. I think you guys actually participate right now in the work comp fund. And then there are school pools and the state liability pool. All of them formed out of those statutes back in 1987. We started out as liability only. After a few years, we added property. We have about 87% of the local governments across South Dakota. Cities, counties, townships, conservation districts, and then special purchasing districts, so water, sewer, fire, ambulance, and the like. Those are the focus, all South Dakota. We are here for South Dakota local governments. We take a more proactive approach to risk management and claims management. Commercial insurance does offer some resources, but they are not as aggressive in helping you guys to recognize your risk, getting those resources out to you so that you can kind of take control of your own destiny, so to speak. So we are very involved in that. If you have the opportunity to attend any of the league-sponsored trainings, you will probably see at least my face there talking about various topics. And we feel that those relationships are crucial and vital to success of local governments. We have a huge loss control and risk management package and portfolio that we would talk about if you guys did elect to purchase your property liability coverage with the pool. The pool is governed by an 11-seat board of directors. The board of directors are member entities, so if the city decided to become a member and there was an open seat, the city could certainly do a resolution and put in a candidate for position on the board. The board is responsible for basically making sure that the administrative team is doing what they need to do. We meet quarterly with our board of directors. We undergo financial audits just like you guys do. We file our audits with the Department of Legislature. All of our investment policies and things like that are all, they mirror very closely what rules and regulations you guys have to subject yourselves to. And our board of directors are kind of where our accountability starts and stops. They are accountable to us, we to them, and all of us to all of you. So those boards of director folks are listed. The chair or the executive director for the league has a permanent seat on our board. So right now it is Sarah Rankin as the interim executive director. And then we have 7 municipal positions total out of that 11-seat board, and the other 4 made up of county representatives. Our service team is all local, so through the Work Comp Fund, your claims are administered through Claims Associates. The SDPA also uses Claims Associates for property liability claims handling. Loss control and risk management all goes through Safety Benefits, so Claims Associates for you would come out of Sioux Falls. Safety Benefits is home-based in Plankington, and so those folks would come out and visit with you. For the SDPA, I come from Harrisburg. I did not grow up in Harrisburg. I actually grew up in Clear Lake, South Dakota, so about 100 miles up the road. So I can appreciate small town atmosphere and some of the struggles that you guys have, because I think small communities all over are unfortunately having some of the same struggles. We have Becky Brunsing comes from Wagner. She's a member services representative, so you might see her sometimes when you don't see me. And then we've got Christina Peterson is in Sioux Falls. She's an underwriter. We also have Peter Nichols as an underwriter and Jerry Krambeck, but they are outside of kind of your coverage area, so you probably talk to them, but maybe not see them as often. And then I already talked about our internal team. Some of the benefits that we have, loss control surveys. These surveys are tied to credit, so basically the intent of loss control services is to, or those surveys is to help identify maybe some risks that you have and offer some solutions to help mitigate those risks, and which ultimately should help you avoid some claims. That's good for you because it's not only time and money that you don't have to spend, it's good for us because then claims are reduced, or if they're not reduced, they're at least a little bit more manageable. We're aware of some situations, we've maybe put some things in place to help mitigate and manage those exposures. We do property surveys. The point of property surveys is, first of all and foremost, to make sure that you're covering what you intend to cover, to identify property that you own, or maybe you didn't know you owned it, but now you can be intentional about how you want to address it, how you want to cover it, and then just making sure that the values associated with those locations are appropriate, because your contribution dollars with the pool are based on property values for the property program. So we want to make sure you're not paying too much or too little for the coverage that you're getting. My two favorite resources that we have, they have been kind of the pinnacle of the pool. They have their own special brochures in your packets. They are the Employment Practices Hotline and the Government Practices Hotline. So those two resources were developed in response to what we saw as trends across South Dakota. Employment Practices was our first one. Those claims are expensive and they take a lot of time to handle. So we thought if we could get you in touch with some panel counsel to answer some questions, because while we have local counsel that is fantastic, not every counsel is an expert at everything. And so we thought if we could get our panel counsel that we use for defensive claims involved in maybe answering some of these questions up front, maybe we could help maybe eliminate or avoid some of those claims. So the Employment Practices Hotline is great, answers all the questions about employment, hiring, firing, disciplinary action, FMLA, sick time. We've had questions about this guy's on work comp, can we also pay him sick time? All kinds of stuff. It's included with the membership of the pool and really has been a phenomenal resource. Our government practices hotline formed a little bit later because we realized, hey, there's a lot of other questions that people have. Never intended to be a replacement for local counsel, but always a resource. Always, hey, can I bounce this off of you? Can you reaffirm, like, yes, we're on the right track, or no, we need to do something different. Elections and COVID really were a hot button issue, and at the time when we really used those hotlines a lot because we needed to protect employees, we needed to protect public, but we also needed to make sure that elections happened, that public services continued to happen, but that it was done in a safe and effective, manner. So, I could talk to you for hours about the hotlines, but I'll let you take a look at those. If you ever have questions about them, you can let me know. We have some law enforcement stuff. I know you guys just started partnering with the county to do your law enforcement services. If you decided to bring those back, we've got tons of training and stuff like that you could take a look at. One thing that is not in your little packet that I'm just going to give a little bit of a plug now, the SDPA partners with the Work Comp Fund to bring the Connections Employee Assistance for first responders. If you've got first responders in your community that need some mental health counseling, send them to the website. I don't have any with me, but if you want cards, I will bring them. Brad will bring them, little business type cards, because getting that information in front of those folks, so if they have questions, problems, it also is for their family members. It doesn't have to be a traumatic incident. It could just be like, hey, I'm just having a really rough day and I need to talk to somebody. Those first responders have access to that. So again, we're trying to get the word out. So even if you don't decide to come with the pool, we co-sponsor it, but we want everybody who has access to it to absolutely use it. We've got some credits on the books that we would be able to offer. You will see when you look at the financial part of that packet, we did give you some introductory loss control credits based on your experience with the Work Comp Fund and some of the responses that you gave to them. So we were happy to extend some of those to you. In the next years, you would qualify for additional credits, some loss ratio credits, renewal credits, and stuff like that based on your performance with the pool and things of that nature. Coverage notes, so just a couple things. So in the grand scheme of things, coverage typically is the same property. If there's a hailstorm or what have you, we're going to come take care of your damages just like anybody else, depending on what type of coverage you purchase, actual cash value, stated value, replacement cost, however it's written, we're going to be there. Differences between the pool coverage and commercial coverage, we do not have any co-insurance requirements, penalties, clauses, or anything like that. Before I started working at Claims Associates, I actually worked in the commercial claims market, and I can tell you that adjusting co-insurance claims is kind of a nightmare because it has to do with the value of the property, replacement cost versus what you're scheduling it at, and all of this is written into your property document. So if you are really excited about reading insurance coverage forms, you can take a look at that. But we do not have that. So that's kind of where we bring our surveys in. We make sure that everybody's got values that we're comfortable with so that we don't have to worry like, okay, did they report a value that's not enough? Are we underwriting at an 80% co-insurance or an 80% value when we should have been having 85 or 90? We did learn that COVID really jacked up property values. I don't know if anybody tried to build even a deck in the middle of COVID, but it was ridiculous. And so that impacted your values. And certainly I didn't, on my house, I didn't think to call my agent and say, hey, I know that today it cost me way more to rebuild my house than it did 2 weeks ago, so I should change that. So that's how we manage it, right? We just do property surveys. We don't have co-insurance. We do the valuations to take care of that. Deductibles, we have one property deductible. We call it the all perils property deductible. So it doesn't matter if you have a fire, a wind, a hail claim, it's one deductible. Many commercial carriers we're seeing are going to a separate wind hail deductible. We do not have that at this time. We recognize that may be a need in the future. So we're actually working with some of our commercial underwriters to figure out ways to create a funding program so that it's a method for you to be able to offset some of those additional costs if needed. So we're already projecting like, okay, this is going to be a need. How can we create a solution for that? Instead of just being like, okay, here's your deductible. Hope there's no hailstorms, which we know there will be hailstorms because we live in South Dakota. Liability, we have a pretty simple governmental liability form. All lines are included, so the public officials liability, the general liability, we write it under one line with one limit. We've quoted the same limit as what we understand that you had previously. We do not have an aggregate. Your per occurrence limit is your per occurrence limit for as many occurrence claims as you have. We hope that you don't have any, but if you have multiple, then our loss control folks are probably gonna come and talk to you, but you don't have to worry about being stuck with an aggregate, and an aggregate is just the most that a commercial policy will pay in any one coverage term. So every time you have a liability payment made, that erodes your aggregate. So at some point, it could impact your per occurrence limit. It's very simple, it is what it is, but we do not have that. Limits, we let you guys tell us what limits you want. If you want input, we can give you some information and data based on communities your size with similar exposures. We would encourage you to work with your city attorney as far as those exposures. We can tell you what our claims experiences are as far as like what exposures are, what we're seeing for settlements, but we will never tell you you should or should not have any certain limits. So, just real quick closing, and then I can answer questions that you might have about coverage or about the numbers in the packet, but we are endorsed by both the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners and the South Dakota Municipal League. We're sponsored by the Municipal League. We are dedicated to serving only public entities across South Dakota. We are here for them. We are here to serve members, and we are happy to help if you decide that we would be a great partner for you. We look forward to that. If not, then you'll probably see me again next year, because I don't give up. So.
Any questions?
Not every time.
Okay, if you don't make a decision tonight, but you have questions, my contact information is in the very back of that PowerPoint form, so you can call, email, text, whatever you need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So our policy is due for renewal May 1st.
I would like to see a breakdown of how it compares, like,
Our coverages are not any different. Fisher routes back into this. The coverages from our current insurance provider are unchanged from the year prior. I wasn't here if they discussed those with you or anything. You have the breakdown of their premiums. Coverage is the same as it has been. So there has not been any changes to our current coverage.
so that will be what it will be going forward, it will work.
Correct.
Okay.
So just need to approve which one of the two.
So it would be an increase in price.
It's like a couple $100 difference
Huh?
from,
Between the two?
yeah.
I mean, I guess from my opinion, what I see, we've seen the issues that we've had recently trying to contact our insurance and get assistance from them. Huh?
I feel like there's a reason that most other small towns
Yeah.
and either
What'd you say, 80?
We have 87% of local governments.
Said 85 on the wall. Everybody knows it's commercial.
Right now, we have 471 members.
I guess like my concern is our little bit of history here. We have an incident and we have to wait and wait and wait for the answer.
You should not wait and wait and wait for an answer.
Would you be able to just say we decline right now? Does that happen? Or
So-
you would give us a reason why right away?
So, I understand that you had a lawsuit and it was taking some time to get a response back on coverage. That's that's not how this works with the SCPA. So if we would have gotten the lawsuit, if the adjuster would have had a coverage question, we would have called the coverage committee meeting, like, and especially where there's a lawsuit filed where an answer is due. Coverage committee meeting, we've got coverage counsel in Sioux Falls, claims associates is in Sioux Falls, I come from Harrisburg, and we usually meet within a few days, and if we can't get together in person, then we'll do a Zoom call. And then you would know, especially where there's a lawsuit. Otherwise, if we can't get the definite answer, then you're just gonna get a reservation of rights that says, we don't know for sure, we'll provide at least a defense to at least get things moving, get started, and then if we need to say, okay, you don't have any coverage because of this, this, and this, then we would do that at that point. But no, that's not, again, we're here for you, and if we had that kind of response, I was surprised that it had been that long and you hadn't had some sort of response. I mean, I wish I could say that, I wish I could give you a different opinion, but.
Yeah, I know, well, it's not, no.
Yeah.
And then also like the loss control surveys, that's all
Yeah.
included in like what we would pay
Yeah.
for?
Yep.
So like if we said like, hey, this summer, can somebody come down and just look at everything, see how we're doing?
So they actually, if you join the pool, then they will call and schedule, they'll do your loss control survey. So they'll call and schedule it as a new member because they're gonna set a baseline for you. You've already qualified for your loss control credits for this year, so we're not gonna take them away. But then next year, if there are things that they have recommended that you haven't done, then we would say, hey, you need to do this, or we can't give you that loss control credit. If there's something that you have that's of particular interest, like we get a lot of questions about playgrounds and stuff like that, like, hey, we're getting new equipment, or we need to put new ground cover on. We get those questions on the daily, and those come through me. I see a lot of those questions, lots of questions. But yeah, no, that's all, there's no separate charge or anything like that. It's just a matter of getting safety benefits folks out here, getting it in their schedule and fitting with your folks' schedule as well. Yeah. I will share with you, so the property is quoted based on the values that you had. So we would do a property survey again to make sure all of that. So if there's right sizing of property values, that could change that property number a little bit just based on the type of coverage and what the values are, what they should be. I don't know when the last time you had a full survey done, and I don't know if the values on your current policy right now, if they are at 80% of replacement costs or if they are at replacement costs at a certain point. So just so you know that.
And if, say, all those numbers are pre-COVID and everything is up much higher, that would then increase the cost
Yes.
of our insurance?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, because again, those contribution dollars are going to be based on the property values for your property coverage. The liability line, that's based on your expenditures and stuff like that. And Dave and I spent quite a bit of time going through what's in, what's out, and stuff like that. But yeah, the property numbers are going to be based on property values. So if they go up, then that contribution number is going to go up a little bit. And we can look at different ways, different coverage values. Some stuff maybe you don't need it at replacement cost, or maybe you only need replacement cost to the extent of like, well, we would replace a roof, but we wouldn't necessarily rebuild the whole building. So there's some things that we could do with that to help kind of manage that and keep it within like what your budgetary confines are, but still making sure you've got sufficient coverage for what your exposures are.
What do we have budgeted for
56.
the year? For just,
For liability coverage.
I will make a motion to go ahead with SDPAA for the City of Alcester's insurance effective May 1st, 2024.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'm going to leave a little bit of paperwork with Dave, and then we will get an invoice. So this is just your statement of claims, and then the intergovernmental contract. This just basically says we have responsibilities, you have rights and responsibilities. There's a second signature page, so you can do that if you want. Yeah, and then I'll have them send you some. If you have any questions, please do call me though, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great night.
You as well.
Moving on to number 9, health insurance renewal. It's in your handout.
So our full-time employee health insurance plan is up for renewal. Our current high deductible plan through Blue Cross Blue Shield premiums increased 9.74% on the year for the renewal plan. So in your handouts is a spreadsheet, kind of pooling the full-time employees that have the health insurance coverage. They all wanted me to research cost differences of switching from the high deductible plan to a copay plan. So I worked with our current insurance agent at Jensen Insurance, came up with 2 cost equivalent plan options. One is a copay plan through Blue Cross Blue Shield, one is a copay plan through Sanford Health Plan, and those premiums are listed there for each individual employee. Costs across the board for health insurance are up. And I have kind of the budget breakdown to the right of that, so you can kind of see where that falls for each individual for budget. If we would switch, if you would approve switching to a copay plan, we would have to stop the HSA because they are not HSA eligible. We could consider in the future looking at an FSA for those employees if we would want to. The benefit of going a copay plan is that insurance would cover costs immediately. It would just be that $50 or whatever copay. So they wouldn't have to cover the entire $9,000 out-of-pocket expense before insurance would cover. Both of these copay plans are the same out-of-pocket maximum as the current plan. That was the only way to get premiums as equal as possible. The other thing to account for is in our health insurance budget, the Sun Life health and accidental death and dismemberment coverage we have for full-time employees also comes out of that same budget line item. So I have that number in there as well. So that's factored into that for the budget. A couple of departments would end up being over budget regardless if we stuck with the same plan or if we made a change. Just because as the age of the employee increases, the premiums increase. So some employee changes and with the premium increases that just, we wouldn't have known that 8 or 9 months ago when the budget was being worked on. So just if you guys have any questions, let me know, and we'll need to get that reviewed as well, or whichever option you guys decide.
Going through the Sanford Health Plan, the only in-network providers for Sanford, correct?
So there's a couple of different options. I mean, there's different plans with Sanford Health Plan. There's a Sanford True Plan where you can only use Sanford for providers, and the other Sanford Health Plans, they do have an in-network and an out-of-network option.
I would just hate to take away the option for them to choose where they want to
And that's
stay.
why I wanted to make sure to present options that would allow for everything. The bulk of, once I kind of got this down to these 2 plans, the bulk of the employees prefer the Blue Cross because they have that choice. Because we do have some employees that use non-Sanford providers and they like to be able to go to this clinic here or to be able to go to Hayward and have the coverage opportunities.
Personally, I have Sanford True right now, and I had Blue Cross Blue Shield before that, and I would give anything to go back to the Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I've heard some things.
I mean, it's fine, most of my providers are in network with Sanford, but it does make it difficult if you just want to take your kid down for a cold, to the clinic, and you have to make sure you're going to the right place.
The Sanford Health Plan that's listed is an option where they would have the out-of-network option if they would so choose. Because I wanted to make sure that they had.
Is it the same coverage though, like 80/20, or is it?
It's an out-of-network option, so your out-of-pocket costs are a little bit higher, but it's the same with anybody. Even if you would choose the Blue Cross option, if there are some doctors that are out-of-network with Blue Cross, it would still cost them more out-of-pocket. So I wanted to make sure to cover all of those bases for you.
But if you went with the Sanford plan, and your person that usually goes to Vera.
Would have to switch providers. So I did talk to that individual, he would be willing to do that if he had to. It would be a lot of work, but he would be willing if he had to. That was a conversation that we did have. And I did reach out to another insurance agent. There aren't a lot of other health insurance coverage options for the rural area that can get as broad a coverage as Blue Cross and Sanford. There just aren't that many insurance companies in South Dakota. Any other questions on that at all?
No, but it's not pushing that much over the budget.
No, it's not much, but I
Like
just
within
wanted to make sure
a couple
you were aware
$100.
it's included or something. But like I said, budgets were gonna be over regardless because of the premium increase if we stay with this plan that we currently have.
But this on the right-hand side does not include the numbers for the Sun Life.
Correct.
And do you know for HSAs, or does anybody know if we stop them, you keep that, correct? That's your money, you keep the account?
Yes, I did reach out to the bank and they would have that money till the end of the year to use. with
So you
this
have to
new-
use it or lose it?
Yeah.
Do all these do that, HSA?
No, the copay plans are not eligible for an HSA. So if you chose to go with the copay plan, we would have to stop the HSA
And
contribution.
they realize that.
They were all made aware of that, yes, and that's why we
Do a
have-
lot of them have HSAs?
all the employees that have the current health insurance have the HSA.
We could consider an FSA though, which is actually,
The flex.
right, which is, you can use it on more things too, which is nice, but I don't think it lasts as long, like if you give these within X amount of time, whereas HSAs can go over.
You have to go to Sanford if you have Sanford insurance?
Yes. Generally, there is an out of
That's stupid.
network option, but.
And this is something they are all wanting?
When I got the premium plan renewal for the current plan, I reached out to all of them, spoke with them, asked them what they wanted. Do they want to stay with what we have? Do they want me to research other options? And they all wanted me to research other options. Specifically, they all asked me to look into if it was feasible to switch to a copay plan. And that's why I focused on these.
I didn't even know there was such a type of insurance where you had to pay it all out of pocket way to get reimbursed.
High deductible plans, you have to cover all of the out-of-pocket maximum before the insurance will start
But
covering.
then your monthly.
Oh, I see what you're
premiums are
saying, I
like-
thought, yeah,
But
okay.
your premiums
I
are
got
a
it.
little bit lower. But as you can see, the premiums aren't that much different. Typically, in most cases where larger employees have the option, these plans are cheaper for the employee, but the employer covers the bulk of the premium.
Yeah, because we're not seeing what the employees pay, this is our cost.
We cover 100% of premiums for the employees.
Is that what the cost usually?
That's my thought too.
Okay. I'll make a motion to go ahead with changing our health insurance to the copay Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. Dave, is this starting on a specific date? Or at time of
We have to
renewal?
have it in by May 10th, and it will renew June 1st.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to switch to the copay Blue Cross Blue Shield plan starting at the time of renewal.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. Moving on, on to number 10, legal updates with Austin.
We don't have anything for open session. We have executive session.
Moving on to number 11, the bar building sale. We will need an executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-23.
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to SDCL 1-25-2.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. We are in at 7:01 PM. We are out of executive session at 7:25 PM. Is there anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I would like to take a second for whoever's here and for everybody who submitted any proposal to us. Thank you for your time and effort for putting in the bids. We appreciate having multiple offers to look over and have things to actually discuss so that we can make our decision in the best interest of the town. So thank you to anybody who put those bids in for us. We appreciate it. With that, I would like to make a motion to sell the former bar. The legal description is North 55, lots of 9, 10, 11, 12, block 19. The original office Street, City, South Dakota. The parcel ID is 01.01.19.1015 to Adam Waterman at the purchase price of $179,000 with a roll call vote.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, Brian,
Abstain.
Julia,
Aye.
Darla,
Aye.
Kendra,
Aye.
Carrie.
Aye.
Motion has passed. Moving on to number 12, finance office updates.
In your packets is a Q1 budget, revenue versus expenses, and revenue summary for the different funds. You can kind of see where we're at there. Just to kind of go over a few of them for revenue versus expenses for general fund for the year, we're a little bit behind. Water's up, sewer we're good. Golf course, the numbers are behind, negative number, but it's better than we were same time last year. Special revenue, second penny sales tax is all on track for revenue for where we should be at for the year. And then the community center donation fund and the library fund are there. And then the revenue summary you can see as well. If you want to look at the line item budget breakdown, it's about 45 pages long, so I didn't want to bombard your packet. But if you would like to review the line item by line item expenses, I can give you a copy of that. Any questions for that?
Are there any other formats of the profit and loss in Banyan's forms?
I'd have to build it if you want to see it differently.
This is the only one, okay.
Yeah. That's a Q1 review. Just want to remind everybody that our next park revitalization meeting will be Thursday, April 25th at 6:30 here at the city office. We did get the pressure test done. I have not received the results from AAA Pools yet. They had some computer issues he's working on trying to get it to me. I'm hoping that we have that for that park meeting, but as soon as I get that, I will present that to the city council as well. I have reached out to the company that installed the pool liner the last time, found the documentation on it. The current pool liner in the big pool is 18 years old on a lifespan of 10 years, and the baby pool liner is 16 years old, same time span. Lonnie and Shane were up there when they did the pressure test for a portion of it. We are gonna have some significant plumbing issues. There are significant concrete issues on the deck that I will show you guys at the next meeting, hopefully with the pressure test results. There are some things there that concern me that I think we're gonna have to look at addressing prior to opening the pool. If you're familiar with our city pool at all, there's that temporary concrete patch that we put right around the edge. A lot of that is starting to break down, and there is more concrete settling around the edge of the pool. There are some tripping hazards that I feel are gonna have to be addressed before we open. As far as the rest of the park, the community volunteers, they wanted me to reach out to some engineers to see, what a assessment and plan, master plan would cost. The group, I've got one back, I've got another one that is coming that I should be able to present to the park committee. The one we have back is from Stockwell Engineers, and I spoke with Norman Engineering out of Sioux Falls, their company head and their landscape engineer guys, so we should be able to get that. I'm also going to be able to speak tomorrow with one of the planning guys from the Sioux Falls office, park planning office, so I can get some knowledge on things that the group will have to undertake. So encourage anybody to come attend. This is for the entire community. Ultimately, I would love to see this park come together by 2029, in 5 years, because in 2029, Alcester will celebrate its 150th year. So that's kind of my ultimate goal if it's feasible. I would love to have the park redone and be that as a huge celebration point for the community. So that's the park. Next reminder is just spring cleanup dumpsters. They will be dropped off May 3rd, Friday. They will be available through May 12th, and Lauren Fisher will pick them up very first thing that morning, Monday, May 13th. And then just want to encourage people, we've kind of seen, we haven't had a lot of increase in people signing up for the TextMyGov alerts. So if there's people out there, I encourage everybody to sign up for it and encourage those folks to sign up for it in the community. We saw it today and yesterday, the benefit of it. Today specifically, we had a city culvert that was blocked and was starting to backflow and fill the drainage ditch and become an issue. And the person was able to submit that report, and we were able to get Lonnie and the street team over there to fix it right away. So it is working, it is definitely beneficial, and it's a great way to communicate, so I'd encourage everybody to get people signed up. For the citywide alerts, we have less than 100 people signed up for it. So, if anybody has any issues, they can sure call me and I can walk them through, they can come to the city office. That's all I have for you.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, one more, sorry, I did miss one thing on the second page. Also in your packet, the 7th and 8th grade junior high slice class was here, and they are looking to raise some funds to buy teddy bears for the Union County Sheriff's Department, that the Sheriff's Department can give children that are involved in domestic calls. Kids are involved in calls approximately 1 to 2 times a week for any number of needs. The plan would be for whatever money they can raise would be to purchase the bears, and then the bears are pictured on your handout. They would be stamped with Union County Sheriff's logo. So, they were hoping that the city council would be willing to consider some sort of donation.
So could we make a motion to give?
If you would so choose.
Could we give maybe $100, one teddy bear, and one probably cost $1. I will make a motion to give a donation to the Alcester Huston Junior high project slice, $100 donation towards that project.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
I do know those teddy bear means a lot to a lot of
They
kids,
do.
because all the foster kids that we have, if they're ever involved in law enforcement situations, have those, and they mean something very important to them.
Stuff animal can do a lot.
Yeah.
I will second that. My boy, I got hurt back on the 5th, on my way to Hayward, and the EMTs, they give him a little teddy bear,
Yeah.
and he wanted that to go into surgery with him.
Yeah.
And that is still on his side to this day. So it does touch little kids' hearts.
Yeah, it really does.
When I saw them in the castle with RSV, they gave stuff, we got flooded with presents, they were wonderful, but, I mean, they gave them to Nova, to him, you know, and she still carries most of them around with her every day, so.
Sounds good. Anything else in regards to it? Otherwise, we'll move on to number 13. All right, 13, city logo. Julie, you want to visit? I know this was discussed at the last meeting, and I think we're going to modify it a little bit.
Yeah, so I took the one we chose, and a couple of people had mentioned wanting to have the water tower in there, so I did a few different options. I used the farm that was already there and put the water tower in two different places, depending on, and then I also did one, someone had mentioned the skyline that was on the one where it was the churches and elevators and everything, so I put that into that logo as well. So I just kind of worked it out a few different ways with that logo we had chose.
I like number 1. It doesn't have a number, I guess, unnumbered. But it's number 1.
Kendra, are you talking about this one, the cityscape?
Yeah.
Yep.
I just think it incorporates the farm, like, in the front of it, as well as the city, kind of bringing everything together.
The water tower.
Yeah, in my opinion, but I like the other ones as well. I just like that one. But again, thank you for making this, because I appreciate the simplicity of it. Any other opinions?
I thought it was all of them. I just love that logo. It's really, I love the simplicity of it, timelines, like things that look nice on everything. I would say either 1 or 3, 1 or 2.
Yep.
I think 1 is my choice.
I'll make a motion to change the city logo to picture 1 for the city of Alcester.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Before we go forward with this, and this is something that I really just thought of, and I don't know why. There was something back in 2012, and the only reason I bring this to the city's attention is because of the cross and the city logo. That could be an issue as far as separation of church and state.
The cross on
Church and cross on the
I
church.
didn't think about that either. I should have thought of that.
And just because I'm looking at this from
Good point.
2012, there was a city from Ohio that ended up removing it because the out-of-state group threatened to sue because they deemed it was potentially unconstitutional.
Can you wipe that out?
Yep, I would say, make a motion with the exception of removing the cross from the top of the religious building, not a church, just a building, for multiple purposes, and I will remove that.
Talking about the 5 different holidays.
Right.
So can I make a motion with the exception of that? Okay, I'll make a motion to go ahead with changing the city logo to option number 1 with the exception of removing the cross off of the top of the building.
I'll second it.
Just call this a lowercase t.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to number 14, golf course, we're hiring Tiffany Plummer as PT clubhouse, huh? Part-time, yeah. Part-time clubhouse attendant at $13.50 per hour.
I'll make a motion to approve. Does anybody have anything? I don't know this girl, so.
She's from, the one from Canton, correct?
Yeah, they live up in Canton. She's looking for somewhere where she can't start till June 1st.
And they're okay though?
They're looking to see if they can get somebody else to fill in that role in the meantime. They just haven't had anybody commit yet.
All right, then I will make a motion to approve hiring Tiffany Plummer as part-time clubhouse attendant at $13.50 an hour.
I'll second, oh, go ahead. I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to number 14B, porta potties for golf course. We talked about it at the last meeting. I think there were some questions on if we bought it versus renting or leasing it and the service charge. It's in your handouts there. And
Landon called a couple to see what they would cost. You can see those, it's on the front and back, I gave you that. They are not, and I'll be honest with you, they're not real in favor of buying it. Like, for example, today, it's windy, it gets knocked over, and we're gonna be the one that has to pick it up. Or if it's leased, then they service them every week. So, and then another thing, like Monty said, where are we gonna store it in the winter months? So, that's just some, and then to have it pumped, it's $50 each time to have it pumped, where the other one versus they do it weekly, I believe. The one that was leased, we talked about last time.
so say if it tips over on a Sunday and they don't service it till Friday, we're gonna wait till they come to tip it up?
I don't
Or can you
know,
list
call
your two?
them maybe. That'd be a question to ask the lease company.
It's not as gross as when it tipped over.
I don't know.
This might be a dumb question, but do we have to store somewhere to have porta potty not sit out in the winter time if you put antifreeze in it?
Well, it's not that, it's the plastic that they're made of will
Yeah.
deteriorate a lot faster if you leave it on the elements.
They're not meant for winter.
But it's easier.
I have a question that I thought of last time after this discussion. Did he price it out for, like, handicap accessible size?
Doors,
Yeah.
Wider ones.
I know when we get them for the fair, you have to get them handicapped.
We did that last year for our fireworks too, to make sure
Yeah.
that everybody could.
That's a question to ask them. I'm thinking maybe more with the
Oh,
lease
so
ones.
this is a purchase?
That's purchase. That, remember last time we said, well, what about if we just bought them?
Okay,
That's the line.
gotcha. I don't have one in front
I think Lisa had a good point. I'd look into that. If you're gonna,
Yeah.
even if you rent them or lease them or buy them, I think that'd be the route to go.
Can someone remind me what the lease was?
I think
I don't have my stuff in my pen either.
Wasn't it 400 and something a month for two of them? And we do it for 3 months. I thought it was the middle of May until May, June, July,
That's not what it was. There was one in August too.
maybe August.
Yeah, but
Well-
don't we need it, when is that first tournament?
June.
It'd be the end of May, middle to end of May through the end of August.
Oh, so
it'd
you
be
can get
about
it first
3.5
for the
months.
first. Okay, just do that. Can you have them for the lease, look at what the handicap accessible is?
I think this is probably one of those things that's better to use and have someone in this contract to do.
I guess I don't really wanna own them, but.
Well, the good news is they have 36 men's teams. They've had to go to 2 nights,
Which is great, but it's also unfortunate because then nobody else can golf on those nights.
Monday and Tuesdays. Yeah.
Well, and Thursdays for women, so. So maybe we almost need to shoot for 60 because then it would.
Maybe next year.
Can you do that, Dave? Or do you want me to reach out to Lily and Kelsey?
Take care of it.
Thank you.
Table it? All right. Moving on to 14C, the golf course landscape project.
So that's for me again. Right after we finished paying for the new sign, I had a gentleman reach out to me that is originally from Alcester. No longer, him and his wife live out of state. They had been up here this winter visiting and really loved their time that they spent at the clubhouse with family. So he reached out to me. He wanted to make a donation to the clubhouse, but he wanted it for a project for betterment of the facilities. After discussing it with Landon, Kelsey, Lonnie, Darla, we really didn't have anything else. This was before the golf tournament thing happened. We didn't have anything else. But the one thing that kind of people have talked about is the entrance and the way it looks. They've had difficulty getting the grass to grow. It's not irrigated, so it's difficult to keep that area watered. So when I had that landscape company come down to look at the memorial wall in the park, I asked them just to put something together for us that I could then propose to this donor. So the first sheet should be the original bid for the entire cost of the project of $19,200 and some dollars. In the meantime, also talking with LG Everest. LG Everest has committed to donating all of the rock for the project. 56 tons of 1.5 to 2 inch river rock and another 12.8 tons of pea gravel. The pea gravel would be for the west side of the clubhouse because one of the things that the golfers complained about is the rental carts take up a lot of the cart path. So the landscape company would use that pea gravel and then cover it with like a landscape epoxy to hold it in place. And that way the golf course crew could park the rental carts off the cart path and would keep the cart path cooler. So with LG Everest donating all of the rock for the project, the total cost would drop down to just cost of plants and labor of about $9,800. I reached out to the other major donors to get their take on the project because the gentleman has committed to donating, but he has not given us a dollar amount yet. He had a number in mind, but he did not commit to that. The major donors would like to move forward with the project, but I wanted to kind of present it to the council to get your input and feelings on.
I think it would make it look a lot nicer if bathrooms.
It is very clean.
There's currently just under 47,000 in the donation accounts, not taking into account what this gentleman would put towards the project.
I also have someone, and you know who it is, Julia, that would like to donate a bench and some trees, but they would not give me a dollar amount. Debbie, in memory of your grandma and grandpa. So if I could find somebody who could give a nice bench, I talked to Dave about it. We could put together some kind of a little package, maybe there'd be a couple more trees or something that we could throw in. So that would take the cost down too. They're waiting, she's talked to Landon about a bench, but it hasn't happened, so. That would be another option.
I think with the donation of the rock, it's almost silly not to.
Yeah.
I have not had the chance to reach out to him yet, but LG Everest does not deliver rock anymore. But during their talks amongst themselves, they have to talk to Bill Boyer. Like I said, I have not spoken to him yet, but it sounded like Boyer was willing to bring the rock over for us as kind of an in-kind donation as well. But I have not had that confirmed, so I have not had a chance to reach out to him, so it would cut down on a lot of issues.
I think it's a really great idea if you can continue to put things together and see where it goes through the donations. I don't think this is something we should focus a lot of our money on, because
No.
it's definitely a lot.
No, it would not take anything out of the city budget.
I think it would be, I mean, people are obviously donating and buying this, I think it'd be foolish not to let them do it if it's something they're interested in.
And somehow get acknowledgement out to these people.
Speaking with Brian for that specific purpose, Brian spoke to his boss over at Sue and Beersford. They're willing to donate a powder-coated sign to put in the landscaping to acknowledge the donors.
I mean, if there's multiple, we can do a
Yeah.
bunch of them.
So,
That'd be great.
They actually did it, so the big one going downtown in Beersford, we did that.
Oh, okay.
That brown one right on the corner there?
That big one right in the corner.
Sometimes the more people see, the more they might, somebody would say, oh, I could, and they might.
so we're getting that finished up. Said it'd only take about 3 weeks-ish to finish, weather items.
And then to go with that, Lonnie got a donation from a gentleman was at our board meeting. And he donated $2,000 to the golf course specifically for sand traps.
A sand trap.
Yeah, well, he said sand traps, so I don't know. When I
Do you want me to
called,
explain it?
yeah, you explain it, because
So
I called.
basically what the guy was wanting, I don't know the number of the hole, but it's right by the pond. Do you know the number?
It's old. On the north side of the creek,
Correct.
that'd be old 3.
Whatever that might be, right next to the pond. I'm sorry, I don't golf, so I don't know.
Hole 7.
Because of how people golf and where they typically land, he has been coming to the golf course for quite some time. And he had asked if he gave the money, could Lonnie put a sand trap on the like southwest side of that hole. And Lonnie said, yes, that was doable. What it is going to take to put that sand trap is a lot less than the guy is willing to donate for it. And because of the equipment that they have to rent to dig it out anyway, the excavator and whatnot, they wanted to see at the same time if they could expand the pond. So basically it would bring it just a little bit closer. They would not dig the whole thing out. It would just be like a trench that is like a tiny little U shape on it.
No, you're talking about 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about hole
Right,
2.
You're talking about hole
Yeah.
2.
Hole 2,
Sorry.
yeah, I'm sorry.
And that would be both, and it would be covered by the cost of this.
Yes, I asked him that, he said it would be covered by the 2,000. So he just wanted us to be aware of it, if any questions.
I do have a question. When do they plan on taking that bridge out? Did we set money aside to do that? I know it's wet now, but
I think the culvert was already replaced, wasn't it?
We approved it,
I thought it was supposed to be done before spring.
right.
yeah, I thought
Scott
it would be done
Burson
during
was
the
going
winter
to
when
do
the
it.
ground was frozen. But I don't know, maybe they're frozen, I don't know.
I can ask Lonnie for an update.
We're gonna do damage to the course.
He said it was gonna be a mini excavator, so it's not gonna be a big one. He said a mini, is how he explained
For
it to
what,
me.
to dig that, you're saying?
Yeah.
The sand trap?
Yeah, mini excavator.
Right, I'm saying in reference to the bridge.
Oh,
If Scott Percy wants to come in and we're gonna do damage to the course, maybe we just need to rope it off and do it with freezes.
That's why I thought they were gonna do it before.
Well,
spring.
that's fine, but I thought if we can't do it now because it's gonna hurt the course, then we should at least, if we thought it was so bad it should be removed, we should have put something up there to keep it from using.
I think it has been fixed and able to like be used.
There's no reason to use it. We put a culvert in quite some time ago
Gotcha.
to come, to go around, so.
It's just a
Okay.
Let's put a sign.
And they were so busy on Saturday, they had people lined up, we were short 3 carts. So
But they
we
did-
do have to make
They
sure.
did, I did get the invoice for the carts. We did
Yeah.
have, they were able to find and stay within budget, purchasing 3 carts for the golf course. And all 3 have been delivered, but we're still, and it's, carts are still an issue because, which is a good thing and a bad thing because people were waiting, but
We need to get, because we approved the Ranger, so we can have access to the other cart, so we do have to get that other cart. Please let him know that, because that one wasn't over there yet. So, I mean, it's good things. Good things bring more headaches.
Anything else in reference to the golf course? If not, we'll move on to number 15, executive session if needed. I think we-
For 3 or 4. I will make a motion to go into an executive session pursuant to 1-25-23.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We are in at 7:56 PM. Executive session at 8:21 PM.
As part of the council, we want to just thank you for being here.
You bet.
So it's just a little piece of appreciation
Okay.
from all of us.
Thank you.
And I made cake, so we can have a piece of cake. But the frosting, it was still warm, so it's melting. So,
Thank you.
but we appreciate it.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you so much.
Moving on, last, we need a motion to adjourn the council.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second, any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We adjourned the council at 8:22 PM.